Today, with broken hearts, but heads held high, we mark the one-year anniversary of the horrific events of the 7th of October 2023, the darkest day in the history of the State of Israel. Please do not applaud during today's commemoration due to the solemnity of the event.
Horrors of these terrible events have remained at the forefront of our thoughts and consciousness every single day for the past year, and the losses of that dark day and those of the subsequent days of fighting are still so raw, close and intensely personal. We all remember where we were when we heard the devastating news. All of us have been affected in some way, and almost everyone knows someone or knows someone who knows someone who was killed or taken hostage or wounded on October 7 or in the subsequent fight in the defence of Israel. Today's commemoration, 1 year on, is unprecedented. It has been incredibly difficult to know how to tell this complex and excruciating story, how to somehow describe the tears and heartbreak, the outrage and disbelief, the pain and the loss, especially as this conflict is still an open wound and we are all still in the midst of it. We have decided to focus on 3 themes for today's commemoration. Today we will remember those we have lost on October 7th, civilians and soldiers, and in the ensuing fighting since. Today we will think about those we are missing and pray for the speedy and safe return of the hostages to their homes and to their loved ones. Their absence is felt every day and symbolised by the 101 empty chairs at the front of the auditorium. And today we will draw strength and inspiration from the countless heroes and heroines from all walks of life who risked and even sacrificed their lives for the people and state of Israel. We will also recognise all those who with resilience and courage continue to give so much of themselves for the collective good of our people. Hayom biyachad. Today, together, we will reflect and remember. Despite the challenges of the past year, we will affirm with unity, resilience and pride, Am Yisrael Chai.
On October 7th, 1 year ago, at 6:29 a.m., a Shabbat and Simchat Torah, hundreds of rockets were fired at Israel. Under their cover, thousands of cruel and bloodthirsty Hamas terrorists stormed across the border and invaded the south of Israel. They attacked the towns and villages in the Yotef, the area of the Gaza envelope. Kibbutzim, like Be'eri, near Oz, and Kfar Aza were attacked, as were army bases like Urim and Nachal Oz, and cities like Ofakim and Serot. There they slaughtered, mutilated, burned, abused, and kidnapped men, women, and children, from the very young to the very old.
That terrible morning, over 1,200 people were brutally murdered. Soldiers, policemen, and civilians, even Holocaust survivors. Jews, Arabs, Druze, Bedouin, and other foreign nationals. Travellers and those rushing to respond were killed on roads and highways of the area. 364 young people were murdered at the Nova Dance Festival, and countless others were abused and subjected to unspeakable atrocities. It was the largest massacre of Jews in a single day since the Holocaust.
254 civilians and soldiers were brutally taken hostage into Gaza by the terrorists. 101 hostages remain in Hamas captivity in conditions we cannot begin to imagine. Many thousands were wounded. The country was suddenly filled with grieving parents and siblings, widows and orphans. Thousands of people from communities near the Gaza Strip and the northern border had to flee from their homes and become refugees in their own land.
The IDF fought back with unimaginable heroism, resilience, and sacrifice, and launched Operation Swords of Iron to continue their mission to destroy the Hamas terror group and release the Israeli hostages. The IDF is also confronting the Hezbollah terror group in the north and other foreign threats.
The effects of that one day in October continue to resonate, and the scars from that day, both physical and emotional, will haunt our people forever. In the face of such a traumatic and indescribable loss, there are no words, only silence. In Israel, the common response to news of fallen soldiers and civilians throughout this conflict has been to tearfully declare Ein Milim. There are simply no words. We sit with that silence today.
Our tradition teaches that each person is a whole world, as each one of us has our own hopes, dreams, friends, and families. When a life is lost, a whole world is destroyed too. One of the many lives and worlds taken on October 7 was Yoni Steinberg, Zichrono Livracha.
Yonatan Yoni Steinberg was born on October 25, 1980 in Jerusalem, the son of Yehudit and Daniel, the brother of Ayelet, Avital, Amichai, and Sophia. From a young age, he was highly motivated, organized, and a leader. He attended the Chorev school and later studied at the Ma'aleh Eliyahu Yeshiva in Tel Aviv.
In 2000, Yoni enlisted in the Nachal Brigade, where he rose through the ranks due to his professionalism, courage, and calm under fire. He served in many high-ranking positions and was eventually appointed commander of the Nachal Brigade in May 2023.
During his army service, he married Yiska, and they built their home in Kibbutz Shomria, where they raised their 6 children.
Yoni was home for Simchat Torah last year and spent that night joyously celebrating the Chag with his family and community. On the morning of October 7th, upon receiving the news of terrorist infiltrations from Gaza, he rushed to the south of Israel to lead and join his soldiers who were stationed there. At 7:40 a.m., his car was ambushed by a squad of 18 Hamas terrorists near Kerem Shalom. Yoni fought back but was killed in the ensuing gun battle. He was 42 years old. He was one of the highest ranking officers to have been killed over the past year of conflict.
חטיבת הנחל, אלוף משנה יונתן שטיינברג, נהרג בהיתקלות עם מחבל. הוא היה בדרכו לחילופי אש ונכנס להיתקלות. הודעה קשה בהחלט.
לפני כשנתיים שהבן שלנו חזר עם שיעורי בית בתורה, מה עושים עם חייל שמפחד לצאת למלחמה. ויוני היה מאוד עסוק ולא היה זמין. בערב ביקשתי ממנו שישלח לו הודעה עם התשובה.
חייל שמפחד לצאת למלחמה, מסבירים לו שהמלחמה זה דבר שנועד לשמור על עם ישראל. זה דבר הכי גדול שיכול להיות, להילחם ביחד עם עם ישראל כדי שינצחו במלחמה.
בהקלטה שומעים את יוני האבא עונה תשובה לבן הקטן שלו, בשפה שמתאימה לילד. חושבת שההקלטה הזו היא גם מאפיינת את יוני כאבא לילדים שלו. צריך להזכיר לו שהוא חלק מעם ישראל. הוא צריך לשכוח את כל הדברים האישיים שלו, את כל הדברים שהוא אוהב בשביל עצמו, ולחשוב רק על הכלל, לחשוב רק על עם ישראל כולו. ההקלטה הזו היא בדיוק החיים של יוני. עמוקים בפשטות, בטבעיות של חיים, מלאי שליחות, מתוך חיבור עמוק מאוד לעם ישראל, לתורת ישראל. וככה לחזק אותו ולהסביר לו שהשם איתנו, והשם נלחם איתנו ביחד במלחמה, ולחזק אותו עד שהוא יפסיק לפחד. יוני חינך לתורה, לקודש, לחיבור לארץ, לעם, בטבעיות, בפשטות. הרבה דוגמה אישית שהקרינה וחינכה אותם לערכים שעליהם הוא גדל ובהם הוא האמין.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אלוהינו שלך וציוונו לקבוע מזוזה.
Yoni was buried on October 8th on Har Herzl in Jerusalem. He is survived by his wife, their 6 children, his parents, and his siblings. We invite Maddie Borowski to light a candle in honor of Yoni, who was Maddie's company commander in the Nachal Brigade and in honor of all the Chayalim who fell on October 7th and in the subsequent fighting.
Many of the horrors of October 7th were unleashed at the Nova Festival in the Re'im Forest, a dance festival centered on peace, community, love, and self-expression. In the aftermath, Israeli singer Adir Getz met with the survivors of the massacre at the Nova Festival and heard their harrowing stories of friendship and love, followed by horror and cruelty. He explained that he wrote the song The Last Dance to honor those for whom the dance of life was suddenly cut short, and to promise that we will continue their dance forever.
שיש החלום, אנשים יפים ומוזיקה טובה. אז מה את אומרת, ניסע לדרום, סתם נשכח את עצמנו, נאהב ונזרום. אנשים שמחים קופצים באהבה ובזריחה. איך את יפה, פיצוצים בשמיים, לא בבית, אהובתי, כבר ניפגש, אל תדאגי, ואם לא חשוב לי, רק שתדעי. תודה על כל דקה שהיינו to light this candle in honour of all the victims of the Nova Festival massacre, as well as all other civilian casualties of the war. Please be upstanding for a minute of silence as we remember all of the fallen. Yehi Zichron Baruch. Please be seated.
On October 7, 365 days ago, over 250 hostages were brutally snatched into captivity in Gaza. While some hostages have been exchanged, rescued, or their bodies recovered, 101 hostages have been continuously held in Gaza by the sadistic terrorists of Hamas.
Stolen from their lives, their families, their communities. And for their families, time has stopped. They live in an alternate universe of uncertainty. This is John and Rachel Goldberg Poland. On October 7, Hamas stole their only son, Hirsch, spiriting him away to a life underground.
Since then, we live on another planet. Anyone who is a parent or has had a parent can try to imagine the anguish and misery that John and I and all the hostage families are enduring.
Hirsch and 5 other hostages were later murdered in cold blood in a tunnel under Gaza, breaking the hearts of millions across the globe. Each of the hostages has relatives, friends, communities, people who love them, who pray each day for their safe return, who worry about what their loved ones are experiencing moment to moment in the dark and airless tunnels under Gaza. They have flown across the globe to meet with world leaders. They've set up displays anywhere they can. A Shabbat table set for hundreds. Empty chairs and beds waiting to be used. Flyers and posters reminding the world that their loved ones are still not free. Their grieving families have driven as close to Gaza as they can get, broadcasting messages and songs as loud as possible,
in the hopes they will be heard.
We came the whole way to Ghana, that you can hear us, that you will hear us. We are here. We are standing so close to you.
These families are not alone. Good people everywhere are raising their voices, whether that's in Israel or around the globe.
Still kept captive are hostages like Omri Miran, whose 2.5-year-old daughter cries for him every night, and whose father refuses to shave until his son comes home, and then they will shave together.
Hostages like Keith Siegel. Keith is a 60-year-old father and grandfather, a vegetarian and a US citizen. Keith was kidnapped with his wife, Aviva, from their home of 40 years, Kfar Aza, and taken into Gazan captivity. Aviva was released in a prisoner exchange last November and waits every day for her husband to come home.
Hostages like Yarden Bibas, 34 years old, and his wife Shiri, 32 years old, and their 2 redhead Ginji sons, Ariel, 4, and Kfir, then 9 months, who were abducted from their home in kibbutz near Oz.
The fear, the conditions, the uncertainty, the despair are unimaginable.
Today, we symbolically mark their absence with empty chairs on stage and in the audience.
Our thoughts and prayers are with all the hostages, and we echo the plea and the prayer of people around the world to bring them home now.
Tafsar, Come Back, was written and released just weeks after October 7th. It is addressed to an unnamed hostage, begging him to come home safely. Composer and singer Idan Reichel wrote, "We are a bereaved country that will rise and flourish through the power of longing, through the hope that they will return, out of pain and honour for those who will never return. They will live in our hearts forever. We will continue to be a tower of light for one another."
השעות העייפות שלא נותנות לזמן לרוץ, הרגליים הכבדות שלא מוצאות סיבה ללכת, הימים והלילות כמו הפנים שבתמונות, הכל עוצר מלכת כשאתה לא כאן. מתעוררת בחלום ומרגישה אותך קרוב, ואז קוראת לך מתוך הלילה, תחזור, תחזור היום. כל כך רציתי שתגיע, הלוואי תבוא בלי להודיע. מתעוררת בחלום ומרגישה אותך קרוב ואז קוראת לך מתוך הלילה תחזור, תחזור כל כך רציתי שתגיע הלוואי תבוא בלי להודיע עוד היום
On this darkest of days, and over the past year of other dark days, there have been numerous heroes who have revealed glimpses of light through their selflessness and courage. They arose like the heroes of old, the stuff of stories and legends, and saved countless lives. Confronting the loss and horror, they give us hope and inspiration, and the chance to tell another kind of story.
Coming from all sectors of Israeli society, these heroes exemplified what it means to be truly responsible for one another, and have reawakened and affirmed our fundamental values of unity and peoplehood.
On October 7th, there were heroes like Rami Davidian, who over the course of 4 days rescued over 700 survivors from the Nova party in Re'im. He overloaded his car with young people escaping the party, drove them all to safety in nearby kibbutzim, and then went back to the killing fields again and again to rescue more.
Heroes like Amit Man Zichrona Livracha, a 22-year-old Magen David Adom paramedic who treated the wounded in the clinic at Kibbutz Be'eri. Despite having the chance to escape, she refused to leave the wounded behind and was murdered by the Hamas terrorists.
Heroes like Inbala bin Lieberman, the 26-year-old security coordinator of Kibbutz Nil'am, whose quick thinking, leadership and courage on that fateful day ensured that her kibbutz was one of only 2 kibbutzim not overrun by the Hamas terrorists.
Heroes like Aner Shapira, Zichrono Livracha, attending the Nova Festival together with his best friends Hirsch Goldberg Poland. Aner reassured and protected over 20 party-goers who had taken refuge from the terrorists in public bomb shelter. Unarmed, Aner caught and threw back 7 grenades at his attackers before he eventually struck and killed.
Through his heroism and sacrifice, Aner saved 10 lives that day. Aner and Hirsch were best friends with Tamara, our year 9 and 10 Zionist seminar Madricha this year. Our thoughts today are with her and with all of Hirsch and Aner's family on this difficult day.
Over the past year, heroism has taken on many forms and has been displayed by people all over Israel and the Jewish world. In Israel, we witnessed the unbelievable dedication of Israel's medical teams and hospitals, who treated the tidal wave of wounded on October 7. We stand in awe of the self-sacrifice of the Zaka volunteers who dedicated themselves to giving and bringing numerous victims to respectful halachic burial. We're grateful to the Giborei Al, the superheroes, the reserve soldiers, the miluimnikim who have been called from their lives, their jobs, their homes, time after time, for weeks and months this past year, to serve in Israel's various fronts. We recognise the strength and the endurance of the Neshot Miluim, the reservists' wives, who have single-handedly maintained the home front without their partners. We also saw the outpouring of volunteering from all segments of Israeli society, as numerous people dropped everything to help out their fellow citizens in every conceivable way, from cooking, barbecuing, agricultural work, schlepping, packing, comforting, and much more.
Alongside heroism, we have seen and felt a deep sense of achdut, unity. Across the Jewish world, communities have rallied this past year in support of Israel. We have spoken out against the growing spectre of anti-Semitism and called for the release of the hostages. We have gathered in prayer, learning, protest, and activism. Many members of our school community have travelled to volunteer and help Israel in its time of great crisis.
We have collected tzedakah to assist many people affected by the conflict, have learned more about the situation in news briefings, and have been privileged to hear from injured IDF heroes and October 7th survivors, who inspire us with their resilience and positivity despite everything they've endured. We have told and shown Israel and her people that despite our geographical distance, our hearts and minds are as one. In the spirit of our unity and our tefillot for Am Yisrael, who need protection, healing, and redemption, we will now sing Achenu.
To conclude today's commemoration, we draw strength and inspiration from the words of Sarit Zusman in her powerful eulogy for her son Ben, who fell in battle in Gaza earlier this year. Sarit insisted, Am Yisrael Chai, forever and ever and ever. Standing tall with our heads held high, now more than ever. Let's strengthen ourselves, let's believe, let's demand good, let's insist on the good, and we will prevail. L'sipur shelanu yiyeh sof tov. Our story will have a good ending.
This is our mission. This is our hope. May we only know peace, unity, comfort, return, and healing. Beyachad nenatzeach. Am Yisrael Chai. Please rise for the tefillot for Medinat Yisrael, the Chayalim and Chayalot of the IDF, and the return of the Chatufim, and remain standing for the singing of Hatikva.
אבינו שבשמיים, צור ישראל וגואלו, ברך את מדינת ישראל וראשית צמיחת גאולתנו. הגן עליה בעברת חסדיך ופרוס עליה סוכת שלומך. ושלח רוחה ועמיתך לראשיה, שריה ויועציה, תקינם בעצה טובה מפניך. חזק את ידיניהם מגני ארץ קודשנו, והנחילם אלוהינו ישועה, ועטרת ניצחון תעטרם, ונתת שלום בארץ ושמחת עולם ליושביה. ואת אחינו כל בית ישראל, פקודנה לכל ארצות פזוריהם, ותוליכם ירק ומיות לציון עירך, ולירושלים משכן שמך. ככתוב בתורת משה עבדיך, אם יהיה נידחך בקצה השמיים, משם יקבצך אדוני אלוהיך ומשם ייקחך. והביאך אדוני אלוהיך על הארץ אשר ירשו אבותיך, וירשת ויטיבך וירוויך מאבותיך. ויחד לבבינו לאהבה וליראה את שמך, ולשמור כל דברי תורתך, ושלח לנו מהרה בן דוד משיח צדקך, לפדות בחגי קץ ישועתך, הופע בהדר גאון עוזך, על כל יושבי תבל ארצך, ויאמר כל אשר נשמה באפו, אדוני אלוהי ישראל מלך, ומלכותו בכל משלה, אין סלע.
מי שברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב, הוא יברך את חיילי צבא ההגנה לישראל, העומדים על משמר ארצנו וערי אלוהינו, מגבול הלבנון ועד מדבר מצרים, ומן הים הגדול עד לבוא הערבה, ויבשה באוויר ובים. ייתן אדוני את אויבינו הקמים עלינו ניגפים בפניהם, הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמור ויציל את חיילינו מכל צער וצוקה, מכל נגע ומחלה, ישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיהם, ידבר צונאינו תחתיהם, ויעטרם בכתר ישועה, ועטרת ניצחון, ויקוים בהם הכתוב, כי אדוני אלוהיכם ההולך עמכם, להילחם לכם עם אויביכם, להושיע אתכם, ונאמר אמן.
יהי רצון מלפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו, שתקבל ברחמים וברצון את תפילתנו, ותחוס ותחמול ותרחם על השבויים והשבויות, החטופים והחטופות. שתחזק ותשמור ותנצור את אחינו בית ישראל, ותושיע אותם ותרחם עליהם יחד עם כל השבויים והאסירים מעמך ישראל. מוציא אסירים בכושות, הוא יפדה אותם משביים, ויוציאם מעבדות לחירות, ומשעבוד לגאולה, ומחושך וצל מוות. וירפאם רפואה שלמה, רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף, ויאמץ את רוחם וירבה את כוחם. אז יתחזקו ויתרפאו וישיבם במהרה לחיק משפחותיהם, והייתה להם שמחת עולם. וזכות תפילת רבים וצעקתם, המעתירים באדם בכל אתר ואתר, תעמוד להם למגן לפדותם מבית שביים, ויקרא רוע גזר דינם, ויקראו לפניו, יתברך כל זכויותיהם, ויקוים בהם מקרא שכתוב, ופדאי אדוני ישובון, ובאו ציון ברינה, ושמחת עולם על ראשה, ששון ושמחה ישיגון, נסו יגון והנחה, במהרה בימינו אנו, אמן.